Order of things slightly, so thank you very much, Chris, for coming on early and your team. So if you introduce your team, and I won't start the timer until you've done that.
Okay, thank you.
And you have 10 minutes, and if you...
10 minutes is all we need.
Thank you.
Chairman, councillors, thank you very much for the opportunity to present on behalf of Cranford. Just if I introduce my team here today, Janice Byford-Jones, who's the CEO of the Cranford Trust, and David Compton, who's the General Manager of the Cranford Foundation. So two different trusts, but both working together for a common cause.
Thank you.
Okay, well, once again, thank you for the opportunity to present. I've got a short presentation, which if you turn around and have a look at the video behind you, will take you through.
I've got it on here.
You've
so
got it on here, okay.
You.
Okay, that makes sense. So, look, Cranford Hospice is for all of us. On any given day, Cranford Hospice touches the lives of over 200 Hawke's Bay husbands and wives, sons and daughters, friends, whānau, neighbours and colleagues. It's truly a wonderful organisation. We're here today to give you an update on the progress that we're making towards building the new Cranford at the Joan Fernie Gardens and Arboretum in Pakowhai, equidistant between our two sister cities of Napier and Hastings. We've been gifted this incredible 6 hectares of land just off Pakowhai Road and beyond Pakowhai School. And so what we're showing you today is some of the progress we've made. And you'll see there the building site where the old Joan Fernie home used to sit. And now you can see that right there where we've now removed the homestead. And so the grounds are moving towards being ready for building. In this shot, we see the homestead there, but I'll try to demonstrate for you, for those of you who have not been to the site, we can see there the orchard that's just been freshly planted, and we now see how close we are to Napier City in the foreground just there. And in the next shot, you'll see how close we are to Hastings City in the foreground there. So the video presentation finishes back on the site where we propose to build the new Cranford at the Joan Fernie Gardens and Arboretum. Oh, I don't want to go back there again. So I just want to bring you up in regards to our milestones with the property. So the Chesterhope title has now been settled to the Cranford Foundation. So that's significantly ahead of where we were, I think, last time we presented to this council. Our provisional plans have been completed for the facility, and they were used for the resource consent to be gained, which has been achieved with inclusion from Hawke's Bay Regional Council involved in that. The homestead has now been demolished with the support of Historic Places Trust and Archaeology New Zealand. So we're very careful to make sure we've done that. In terms of other property milestones, dead and dangerous trees have now been removed. And we have a team of volunteers who are gradually transforming the gardens and Arboretum. You know, this is a set of gardens that was put together initially in 1902, 1903, by members of the Kew Garden fraternity who came out here by ship. So it's truly a fabulous location, but there's no doubt there's significant work to be done. The Joan Fernie Charitable Trust have agreed to the naming of the gardens so that the gardens themselves would be the Joan Fernie Gardens and Arboretum. In terms of fundraising milestones, you'll recall it potentially at the last meeting that the project has been quantity surveyed at 15 million, excluding the bridge and the roading upgrades. The foundation, I think wisely, has set a hurdle target of 10 million in committed funds before greenlighting the project. And I'll explain to you what I mean by greenlighting. But we felt it was conservative to get to this point before we went further. So here we are today. In terms of fundraising to date, regional trusts and private donors, we've been given 2 million. And you've got to remember, this has been in a very quiet phase as we've tried to reach that 10 million target before going to a public campaign. The Hastings District Council has agreed to a 2 million contribution and four tranches of 500,000 over 4 years. And I've included that funding agreement in your papers today. And just this week, I've been able to encourage the Cranford Foundation, our own endowment fund, to contribute $5 million to the project. So that's been a significant milestone for us, taking the project to 9 million in committed capital towards the project. So we're very close now to our initial greenlighting target of 10 million, with a shortfall of 1 million to get the project over the line. What does greenlighting the project mean at 10 million? Well, it doesn't actually mean we go out and build it, but we will go to full architectural plans. Okay, this does mean consulting once again within the hospice community and with the DHB to ensure at this point in time that what we're building is still fit for purpose. I think that's really critical. We will employ our project manager and builder, and we will scope savings from project management from in kind. We believe there are significant, in terms of that additional, once we get across 10, with the other 5, we believe there's significant savings from in-kind donations from property, from the builders, and some of the indications we've had, which aren't on paper, are significant. We will also employ our full-time campaign manager. So up to this point, until we've got to that quiet phase of getting to 10 million, we haven't had someone in that regard. We'll commence our public campaign to raise the balance of funds, and we will continue to hold the Knight Street property in reserve for project cost increases. So once again, we understand that the market's moving in terms of build costs, but we have that property in reserve once we're built to meet any contingencies. Okay, so we think that property's, we think it's sort of 1.5 to 2 million circa. So we think our hospice is unique. The new hospice will be a world-class facility set amongst the Joan Fernie Gardens and Arboretum. The new Cranford will be located equidistant between Napier and Hastings, and the new Cranford will be seriously a Hawke's Bay project like no other. This is about family and community supporting our loved ones at the end of their life. So our current hospice, while still adequate, there's been a number of reports which have more than suggested that it's time to build a new hospice and to create a state-of-the-art, fit for purpose facility into the future. So I'm here today, councillors, to ask for your support to greenlight the project. We're looking for a commitment from the Hawke's Bay Regional Council for $2 million in 4 tranches of $500,000 over the next 4 years. We think that's given the incredible work that the council's done in terms of its investment fund, with the freeing of resources from your port, very conservative but wonderful investment of those funds. It's given some excessive, not excessive, some excellent capital gains and some surplus funds. That this is a project that would certainly demonstrate the regional council's involvement in our Hawke's Bay community. So that's my presentation, short and sweet. I welcome questions from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Questions, councillors? I have one, Chris. In that Napier City, you were great pains to say it was equidistance. Is Napier City putting up any cash for this?
I'm as hopeful with the Napier City Council as I am with the Hawke's Bay Regional Council. We are in the submission process with the Napier City Council, just as we are with the HBRC, and my hope is that that's positive.
Any other questions?
So were you suggesting us to draw on those investment funds as opposed to a rating to collect these funds? Is that what
That's my suggestion, yeah. I think obviously your rating, your commitments from wider rates, there's already a clear business plan and a commitment there. My suggestion is that we use maybe potentially HBRIC or surplus funds from HBRIC that are outside of budget to utilise as a one-off. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to your team. This is an incredible job, and I think all of us have been involved in Cranford one time in our lives, and we understand how important it is, and I'm sure councillors will consider your proposal.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Nick and Rowan, thank you guys. So welcome. You heard me say before, you have 10 minutes. Every submitter has 10 minutes equally. So you can use the whole 10 minutes or you can share it with councillors. It's up to you.
So, thank you. Thanks for the welcome. Obviously, you've read the submission, so we won't spend further time on that. I guess the one other thing I was going to mention was, as I noted to you earlier, Rex, about the investment in sustainable housing and whether or not council might revisit that program with a bit more of a focus on it being more targeted towards those who are in most housing need. It's not included in our written submission, but it's just something I'd be curious to know how much of that funding actually goes to those families who probably, have the greatest need in terms of housing at the moment. That's the main point, and open to questions.
Yeah, just before we go to questions, I'd be interested to know that as well, actually. I don't know we've done the numbers on that, but we want to make sure that the right people are getting the funding to improve their houses, that's for sure. So I'd be very interested in that as well. Martin?
So you're suggesting a form of means testing on allocation of the funding in terms of making sure it gets the...
Yeah, the program, I don't know how successful it's been, but it's a loan, and I guess potentially that might, depending on how it's set up, might be available for people who otherwise wouldn't get loans or couldn't go to the bank.
Yeah, I understand your point.
Yeah, but the other thing is I think we've been talking to all of the councils around just the very severe housing shortage that we have in Hawke's Bay at the moment, and I know that there is some discussion around establishing a housing foundation here, which, if you're familiar with the Auckland or Christchurch ones, do build and develop affordable apartment blocks for the working poor, if you like, people who having real difficulty getting in on the housing ladder. So that would be another potential avenue if one was re-exploring what we're doing around housing.
Just the sustainable housing thing has been incredibly successful. The uptake is beyond expectations. Okay. But I think your point is who's uplifting? Are we getting to the low decile community?
Exactly.
That would be really interesting to know. Rick?
Yeah, I just a more generic question. I have listened to lots of submissions on council plans. I can't recall one previously from the Hawke's Bay District Health Board. So I'm just interested to know what it is that prompts you to put a submission to the council.
We've regularly submitted to every long-term plan, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We came along to a workshop, in fact, even during the planning stages.
Coming to a workshop.
No, we do regularly submit. I was actually reflecting on the last one, in fact, and the success, in fact, of much of what was was planned in the last LTP, and you've done some fantastic work. So, congratulations are also in order.
I'll go to Jerif and then back to you, Martin.
Yeah, Nick, you've quite a substantial amount of your submission is based on public transport on demand, and you talk there that you're actually advocating to your staff because you're a large employer, and every morning you can see large volume of cars, either coming from Napier or Havelock North or Taradale coming to your site, and definitely around that site it actually gets really congested.
Agreed.
So what kind of activity do you undertake to support your employees to actually use active transport?
Yeah, so we do have a Go Well travel plan. It's been going now for about 4 or 5 years, I think. The transport on the bus is now fully subsidised by the DHB, so all staff can travel free on the bus. We do have facilities on site for cycle storage, and there's also, we introduced a parking fee for staff, which is then used to fund the subsidisation of the bus use. So there is a kind of comprehensive package in place. But one of the difficulties we have is around staff who work evening and afternoon shifts. So, you know, from a health and safety point of view, there's a need for them to be able to access vehicles, essentially.
Subsequent question, have you got data on your travel movements of your staff?
We did a travel survey, but I don't know whether we got the trip data. It's always been something that I wanted to do, because I wanted to see, well, how many of our staff actually are within walking and cycling distance of work. And there's been a bit of reluctance, I think, from our HR team to release address information. You know, I think from a personal information perspective, I guess. But yeah, I think it would be really interesting to know, because I suspect, you know, I think what you're hinting at is that probably quite a few actually could bike to work. Yeah.
And also it would help with Martin's pilot. Call it Martin's pilot.
Yeah. One of the things
data
I think what we are interested in, though, is also looking at it from a delivery of health services perspective. So potentially, you know, having our clients actually using this service as a way to benefit on both sides, really.
Martin.
Yeah, all right. Look, thank you. I was my interlude into the sustainable homes. I was really wanting to ask you some questions about this. So, you say you've got a survey that says 32% would appreciate a more, well, would use, would be more likely to take the bus if a route were available. Do you know what percentage of staff do bus to work at the moment?
I couldn't tell you, unfortunately. Well, we
can
probably
share that
find
data.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can
should be
share
able to
that
find out.
But the key things that come up are frequency and location, right? Is the drivers.
Convenience, yeah.
I think there's a bit of, you know, the switching buses too is a little bit of a,
Yeah.
puts some people off. Yeah.
And you've given us a contact person, Jessie Smith, for
Yeah,
our...
she's our sustainability officer.
Yeah, I put this to one of the previous submitters, Michelle from CCS Disability Action, and just so you understand, we will be interrogating the community quite closely about where the demand centres are and how that could be worked into the model. Major employers like Watties and you know, supermarkets or whatever it might be, and DHB's right at the top of the list. So
Great.
it sounds like you're willing to engage and get involved in our trial.
Very definitely.
Absolutely.
Any further questions, councillors? Well, thank you very much, Nick and Ryan, for coming along and submitting. And yeah, I do recall you submitting last time.
I missed it. I looked at it. I thought, oh, that's really unusual. I just didn't click on it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty. Well, I've been here since 2009. I'm pretty sure we've done
Yeah.
most of them since then.
And
But
Nick,
maybe they weren't very memorable.
Oh no, just, don't start on that. I was just struck by it.
And that given that we do have one doctor that works for you that walks from Havelock North to the hospital, because I see that person doing that. I'm wondering, would you be prepared to bike?
I do bike.
Oh, you do bike?
Not all the time, but I do bike. Yeah.
How many bike
There you are,
sheds you
Jeff. Got the
for
biking
public?
in.
Yeah, but I'm worried that you might be hit and actually end up in your own facility.
Well,
That's what I'm
that
worried
is
about.
that
you
is
know?
a real concern.
It's a
I mean,
real on that road.
Yeah. No, it's and the the roundabouts. It's, don't get me started.
No, I always.
It's another subject.
Yeah,
How
it's
many-
dangerous.
You have bike sheds for the public to bike to the hospital?
Most
For
of
the
them-
public,
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
No.
Good
Right.
point.
Very good
point. I don't know.
I just struggled to recall a bike shed, like they have in Wellington, where they
Yeah.
hang them up, put the things.
Yeah.
If you're serious about it, you'd put some of them up by the door,
Yeah.
so people can bike straight to the front of the hospital and away they go.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of our clients wouldn't be necessarily biking, but their visitors. might be.
Visitors, that's the thing, but just sends a message, doesn't it?
Yep. Yep. No, agree.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming along. Councillors, we have 3 more submissions, but the first one doesn't start till 4:20. Do you want to turn the cameras off or have a conversation? Or
When this day was originally planned, it was to finish at 3, and I booked a teleconference at 4 o'clock